Welcome to episode 85 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Mills.
It's your boy, man. So Moose, what's good? What's good? What's good?
What's good with you, man? So that's how you starting to pond it then. Okay.
Yeah, you know the vibes, bro.
That's
Come
the
on.
vibes you
told
want?
you, bro. In the words of LeBron James, I'm a hip hop historian.
Hip hop historian.
So we got. You know, I gotta push it. You know, I gotta start off with some Pusha.
Facts. So that's the message to all the young rappers out there.
Oh yeah, all y'all. Yo, this is scary times we living in. We got 3 legends dropping in a month.
Yeah.
Push just dropped.
Yeah.
Future's dropping next week. This is scary hours.
It is.
This is scary hours.
It definitely is.
And the GOAT. The GOAT. The actual GOAT.
He's dropping.
Yes. Y'all got 3 weeks. All that J. Cole, all that Drake, all that little Durka, Tekka, whoever his name is, Lil Baby, all of y'all. Yo, Kendrick is sending warning shots. Y'all got 3 weeks to drop mid. No Kizzy. If not, Mr. Morales and the High Steppers are coming.
So how'd you like the way Kendrick announced that he was dropping his album?
It's 100% Kendrick. It makes sense, especially because what PG Lang is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it makes sense.
This was like a references to Jordan's "I'm Back."
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, and I also think it fit because of like PG Lang is supposed to be. I don't know the specifics, but it's supposed to be a company that's basically in charge of intellectual property for your words.
Yeah.
So it's like so I think it was just pretty cool. Like you had the piece of Jordan. You know, you also have the other element if you understand what he's doing. It's kind of double entendre. You know the vibes. So,
I mean, so with that being said, like Pusha just dropped his 4th studio album titled "It's Almost Dry." It serves as, like I said, his 4th studio album, features the likes of Kid Cudi, Jay-Z, Ye. It's 12 records. You played some of the records. How do you feel about the project as a whole?
I mean, I heard it yesterday and that thing went crazy.
Yeah.
I wish that I listened to it today because I told myself I wasn't, but everybody kept saying, "Yo, this joint go crazy. This joint might be the one."
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right, whatever, fine. I'm gonna get it." Herb Bramble said, "Oh nah, what?" I said, "What? This how he's coming?" When Let the Smoke Shine came on, I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, nah." I was like, "That's when I knew." I'm listening to Pusha T rap on not a Pharrell beat, but the Neptunes beat.
Yeah.
Oh nah. In 2022?
Crazy, right?
Oh yeah, nah. That's when I knew this album was something.
Yeah, and then the way he dropped his he did his last minute what's it called? Release party.
Release party, yeah.
I heard it went crazy. I seen some people that went there that like I followed and stuff like that. What did you think about like his rapping as a whole on the project from what you heard?
That joint wasn't fine. That joint was fine tuned.
Yeah.
It was that. Like I said, that Super Mario bar on Rock and Roll, nah, that joint crazy. That shit, nah.
Where do you put Pusha then? Right now, current state rappers.
See, so I've been exposed to my old headness, so it's like I'm not gonna put him top 10 because it's like this is a new generation. Because
So now you're gonna say it's a new generation after he was rapping just like that. Everybody just heard how he was rapping, the bars that he was laying down, and then based on your logic, you're just gonna backtrack on what you said last week.
No, and we're gonna talk, and I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna change this. This should be the new conversation about rappers. Rappers should have 3, 4, 5 tiers. You have the A, B, C, and then D, whoever's. You feel me? At A, at A is always gonna be Drake, Kendrick, Cole. You get what I'm saying? That's tier A. You feel me? Because they do whatever. Jay-Z, Hove, those are all the legends, right? Tier B is the niggas that are just as influential as like the old heads because of how the new generation is now. That's the Wale's. You have the Big Sean's. You feel me? You have
Meek being that tier?
Yeah, Meek, Kid Cudi's. Like that's that tier, you feel me? C, D, I don't even need to get into discussion with them niggas, but
who would be C and D?
D would be somebody like that's a good question actually. Ooh, that's actually a good question because not all these niggas is a lot of these niggas is C tier. So D, I'd have to put somebody like 6ix9ine.
Okay.
6ix9ine definitely a D tier rapper, especially now.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like in those tiers, we should have tiers because it's easier to fit people in certain ways. It's like class. It's like you have the people that's always gonna get the A's because they different. The
Yeah.
people that are the B's that work hard or higher B plus, B minus, and so on and so forth. So I think we should top five is bad conversation. Tiers are the best way to go. But anyways, Pusha T is a very high tier. Like if you had the grade scale, like tens, whatever, Pusha is like an 89.8, 89.7. You feel me? He's that good.
So he's like, will he be like the tier right under like the K dots and all them?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's like you can kind of fit all those dudes in there because not everybody a legend. You feel me?
Yeah.
But there's enough people that influenced, and there's enough where it's like how their culture, how they influence the culture as well. You feel me? So it's like Pusha goes in there because of how he talks about crack rap. You feel me? Like that's why you have Wale there because Wale's still mad influential. You feel me? But it's like it's not bad enough. Not J. Cole. Big Sean. At that same breath, you feel me? So it's like.
So in other news, so I know how we talked about the Black Lives Matter. What was it, 2 weeks ago that we talked about them?
Yep.
So, well, just when we thought like we were like maybe like at the peak of all the, what do you want to call it, chaos, antics that's going on with them, some more stuff unfolded over this past week, and the things that unfolded were the Black Lives Matter founders recorded a brunch and released their video during the anniversary of George Floyd. The founders, Patrice Colders, Alicia Garza, Melina Abdullah, were seen pretty much like toasting, and they called their brunch the Reflecting on Freedom Summer. So when you see something like that, Moose, what are your initial thoughts based on like how we talked about stuff, and then they're in this mansion, they're toasting, they drop a video that they try to delete after they got backlash from it, things of that nature, and now you see stuff like this.
They are exactly what a lot of us thought they were.
Which is?
They're frauds, and they're very stereotypical people that capitalize off our culture. Like, at this point, the founders are just as bad as the white people that we complain about that come and take our culture for money or for profit. Like,
and why do you say that? What do you mean by that?
because it's like when we look at the mainstream media and how they influence our culture, whether it's like, oh, now braids are acceptable for women or white women, you know what I'm saying? And it's like it's very like they create this big stereotype. It's like now when you look at it, people get mad because people are profiting off of that. You're profiting off of white girl hair, building salons, or black people products. Like, you're profiting off of us, like the white people that get famous and end up on Ellen, while the black girl did the same dance months ago. Like, stuff like that. When you look at that in a way that you have African Americans profit off of our culture as well, you're just as bad as them. That's the point of what I'm trying to say, because it's like you kind of put us in the same light as everyone else does in how you show things. And like the fact that you went out to brunch, the fact that you wanted to sit here and move that way when you already know like people are already looking at you crazy, looks crazy. And white people do the same thing, and then they act all innocent, and then it's like, oh, like we didn't really mean to do anything, it wasn't our intention. But it's like, as black women, you should be able to read the room the way that you should. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have anything else to say.
So like with that, with that being said though, like, with it being like on the anniversary of like of George Floyd's death, like being one of the most like traumatic things that's happened like in the black community like to recent time, how do you think, like, as us seeing this as like people that aren't a part of Black Lives Matter and like looking for people as leaders to kind of like push the narrative and push the like the agendas, I guess you want to call it, or things that need change to make change, how do we find those new faces, I guess you could say?
You said find those new faces of like leading our culture, or?
Yeah, like leading like the charge. Because if we have people now that are in a position like this, that you have organizations like this that are, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's tricky because it's the same thing about politics. Because it's like it's always going to be the young people that have to make the change. But after a certain point, it's like when you get to that age, it's like how much change can you really make? Because they always either one change the rules or one find another way of like keeping us down. And it's like having these new faces of the culture, because they're going to be young when they see this, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to garner respect from places that they should. Black Lives Matter started because 6 black women came and started something after one of us died.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's tricky because I guess to really answer your question in a way that we should is to garner the attention. You have to be able to get the attention and show people what the issue is in our community, because you can't just go up there and try to become a new face, but you're not really saying the things that you need to say or help the way that you need to help, you know? So
yeah, and then on top of that, like you see back, like say, like during the civil rights era, you had like the Martin Luther Kings, you have like the Malcolm X's, you have all these different people, Rosa Parks, things of that nature, that are leading these different charges. Obviously, it was a different time back then, but kind of like everybody in the country knew who these figures were. I know there's people out there in the world, in the country, that are having fights in their own way, in their communities, things of that nature. How do we find platforms or create platforms that put them at the forefront where people know who they are and are able to reach out to them as a sense of like a resource, do you think?
I mean, it starts with stuff like this, where it's like we're bringing up attention to things and the people that are actually trying to create something large. You know what I mean? And it's like when you have these outlets, because everybody is able to buy the stuff and create an outlet. It's like you have to be able to create those relationships with those people that can get you to those places. And if we continue to like garner with one another and actually do everything we need to do with each other, we'll be able to make a larger voice. You know what I mean? So I just think that that's the biggest way. It's like starting with things like this, pushing it forward, and creating a narrative. And also, that's one of the biggest things that we have to understand as people is like a lot of this country, a lot of the things that we do are ran by a particular narrative. Everything that you see, awards, all that is ran by a particular narrative.
Yeah.
Prime example, Jokic winning MVP. Jokic should not win no goddamn MVP. I don't care about no damn analytics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too.
Yeah, so it's like you see how these narratives run in. Like Westbrook had his narrative to win MVP. So when you look at it now, it's like you have to create a narrative of what it means to be not even just as black or just a minority in general. When you create that narrative that's strong enough for people to agree with what you're saying, you now have a movement, and you're now able to have platforms like this one, or to talk to people, whoever you can, to garner the message that you're trying to speak through whatever you're trying to do. You know?
No, that makes sense. I like the way you put that, for sure. I just think now in this state that we're in, I think it's kind of like hard to trust people that are quote unquote in the forefront right now, just because of things that we see like this, and I think it kind of puts us like, I don't know, in a standstill, in a sense of where we're trying to go as a race as a whole. I don't know.
I mean, I get where you're coming from in terms of why it's hard to trust, but it's like it's only hard to trust because the people that we should trust are not being transparent. Like when you look at this whole Black Lives Matter situation, the reality is that it's been like a year or two since we've come to this conversation about, yo, we want transparency with the funds. Still ain't getting nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like these people are not getting the stuff they're asking for. So of course, when a large organization is not being transparent with you, you're always going to be skeptical, especially us as African Americans, in which a large organization, FBI, CIA, the government, has put us in positions to show them that we can't trust them because they're not transparent. So it's like it's tragic, but it's like I understand why.
When you say transparency, what do you mean? Like, what do you think people look to see, or like will give people comfort in knowing that, all right, they're doing right by us?
Seeing what they're saying that they're gonna do, and just also seeing it being followed through with consistency. You know, because it's like it's better. It's more than just saying, oh yeah, we're gonna wear a Kente graduation clause and take a knee in one of our political buildings. Like it's more than just that. Like you have to show tangible action or tangible actions for people that are like us. You know what I mean? It's like relationships. Like people, you don't trust someone until you see their actions. Yeah. And if at any point their actions are weird, or they do an action that puts you in a position where you can't be comfortable with that, of course, like. And the best way for them to do that, and that's them getting your trust back. Sorry, my mind just went blank for whatever. I don't know why. But anyways, the point is that you have this idea of creating trust for people, and I understand it. But it's like everything comes with the action, and every action that you mess up, it's hard for people to trust. So it's definitely understandable. It's definitely understandable why we don't trust them right now.
No, I got you. Now I just want to touch on that. That was a good segment to just start on that, because I just thought it was crazy. But another thing that a lot of people I've been seeing talk about, and I think this is something that you have thoughts about when it comes to Channing Crowder, the host of the Pivot podcast. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago, called Russel Wilson corny. So I want to ask you. So, one, why do you think he calls Russell Wilson corny? And then two, do you think women really want like a corny person, or do you think they're just saying that because of social media? Because I saw like people saying there's nothing corny about Russell Wilson. I want a man like that. You feel me?
Yeah, that's what they all say. That's what they all say. I think he called him corny because of the context of what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were talking about not even Russ and Sierra, but like Russ as a person, and then the conversation was about Sierra, but it was like people know that he's like, oh yeah, he's a corny guy, and it's like I think people misconstrued the conversation of being corny as like, oh, he's a corny guy that treats you well, but it's like you can be a corny asshole, but it's like everybody's like, oh, I want a corny guy, but it's like it's not necessarily saying that he's corny because he treats Sierra right. He's corny because that's who his nature is.
But what is corny about him though? Like,
he seems like a dork.
Okay.
Like,
but like his demeanor, the way he dresses, the way he talks.
If you were to like put it like this, if Russell Wilson was not an NFL player, I guarantee you he'd be one of those dudes that play Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the game places at like after 6:00 in the mall. I promise you he would.
You think he would?
Yes, that, and he'd be at church too.
What's wrong with that?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But he will be one of them church boys that like prays against the Yu-Gi-Oh cards he uses or some shit like that.
So he's corny because he's not Future, pretty much.
No, not necessarily.
Because he's not like the rapper type. He's not the you know what I'm saying.
No, you don't gotta be a rapper type to be. But
I'm just asking. That's what it seems like.
No, like, I mean, in the context of I guess for everyone else, yeah, but like in general, like, no, it's not necessarily because he's not Future. It's because of the way that he carries himself. It like when you look at him, it's like, outside of him being a football player, you see him, he's just kind of a dork. Like that's really it. Like, he looks like he's a dork that reads comics all day. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, nothing bad about it at all.
No, nothing bad at all. What was your second question? Because I feel like I got off on a tangent.
I said, do you think, because people, like women were in the comments, like supporting it, saying like, oh, I want me a corny. If this is corny is, I want that. Like, this is what I want. Like, if that's corny.
No, like, women don't really want that. Like,
how you figure?
Because you just look at their actions.
And what do their actions tell us though?
Do you want me to? The actions show you that they say that they want said guy, who's corny and a dork, but that's not what they're being drawn to.
What are they being drawn to then?
They're being drawn to men who are emotionally unavailable or come off as very emotionally available in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's him being flirty or him playing hard to get, this, that, and the third, him who's probably has a girlfriend, whatever, married, whatever. Like, that's what women gravitate towards too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, you think so? I think that's what it's like. It's made out to be, but I think in like the real world, like off social media, I think it's it's here and there. Like, people gravitate toward both sides. Right? Like, that's what I see.
I see the people who. Well, let me not even say that. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one, because I just genuinely think that more people chase after emotionally unavailable people than what they know.
I won't disagree with that part.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was saying like to the corny aspect of like those type of people as opposed, you know what I'm saying, versus the other.
I get what you I get what you mean.
But in terms of the emotionally unavailable part, why do you think people chase people that are emotionally unavailable?
Because we've been rewarded with we've been indoctrinated to believe that we have to work hard in order for us to get what we want. And in like speaking to guys, like, you're always told to always try harder. Like, if you run faster, if you try harder and run faster, if you try harder and tackle the guy, if you do all this stuff, work harder, you're going to get your results. You automatically translate that to women, and that doesn't work with women. Like,
is that why guys want the girl that everybody wants or something like that? Or like,
yeah, but sometimes it's more so about like men just really want the real pretty girl. I mean, I guess you could put the girl that everybody wants in that case, yeah.
And what do you think is like? What do you think that's rooted in though? Like, why do you think?
My bad.
Do you think it's like what is that rooted in though? Like, in the sense, like,
what people chasing? Like,
what is that rooted in?
Women, it's been rooted in what we've been told. Like, women have been told, take this stoic guy who doesn't show any emotion, that barely shows that he's barely him being affectionate, all that stuff. Take that guy and have him because he's the best prospect for you. And men are told, yo, like, you get the girl, like, you get this virgin or you get this type of person that's super perfect, and Yeah, or some girl that's been with everybody, or the type of girl that's like, oh yeah, I don't really like you. Like chase after the girl, bust your ass, you gonna get her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like at that point, it becomes a situation. It's like that's what you really believe. Like you're not gonna get the girl 100% by just buying her flowers and stuff.
True.
Not
Yeah,
like
there's more that comes with it, right?
yeah. Then for girls, like you're not gonna get that emotionally unavailable guy who like if you think that just chasing him is gonna work, like it's not. It's more than just that. You know what I'm saying? Like everything has to be a little bit more. I don't know.
So with that being said, though, do you think if someone's presented with somebody more times than not that is emotionally available, do you think more times than not they're ready for it or no?
I think that in a lot of that's a good question. I don't think so. Maybe it's me being biased, but I think that people who have good things come to them
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of cases, if they don't mentally prepare themselves, will not understand that that's a good thing in front of them.
Say that again.
I think that if people who aren't ready to receive good things happening to them, when something good happens to them, they're not gonna be aware of it because that's not what they see.
I got you. I got you.
You know?
Yeah. So like based on yours, because you said you're biased and you said that people like probably wouldn't be prepared for it. Do you think like if you were presented in that position, someone that's gonna be honest with you 24/7, if you don't like it, do you think you'd be prepared for something like that at this
Yeah.
point in your like life?
Oh, definitely 100%. Like, it's just for me, like I guess for me, and I think that will speak for a lot of people in general, is just be upfront with who you are and what you want to be. Like, I think a lot of times, like with relationships, a relationship fails because they're not being honest with who they are and who they want to be,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep that to themselves and not honest with the other person, and that just creates discord in relationships because now you have to kind of avoid what you really don't want to say, and you create these big issues. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's like, well, yeah, it is what it is.
I got you. Went on that note. But before we get to the rest of our stuff, let's jump into the Face of the Future song of the day, presented by MBT Network. If you're listening right now, whether you're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or whatever streaming platform you're listening to, click that subscribe button and follow us and leave us a comment. The Face of the Future song of the day comes from an artist by the name of Larayla Savage. He's making headway down in Houston, down south, making a lot of noise. The song comes from his latest project titled Be Right Back, and the song is titled Wavy. Once again, this is Larayla Savage, Wavy. Once again, that was Wavy by Larayla Savage, Wavy by Larayla Savage.
That Jones was a bop.
Yeah, he doing his thing down in Texas, bro.
I think it was a bop.
So let's jump into some other stuff that's been going on in the news. So according to I think it was People or Rolling Stone, one of those two. A woman's demanding $5 million from Trey Songs after a video surfaced of him ripping her bikini top off in 2013 at Foxwoods Liquid Sundays with Trey Songz event that happened a few years back. And there's been rumors going on about like Trey Songz, and we've heard many people speak up about like how he acts and the things he does and how he harasses women. And to see this video come to light, well, like, one, what are your thoughts on this and seeing the video, and two, her demanding $5 million?
She can demand $5 million. She can demand whatever she wants. The reality of the situation is that Trey Songz is wrong. Because I saw the video, and the first time I seen the video, I'm like, yo, this man is like 30 talking about some titties out in the air. Like, bro, like, come on, bro. Like,
Yeah, that's OD.
You're childish.
Yeah.
And on a serious note, like, that's fucked up, bro. Like, this isn't the first time we've heard that, oh yeah, you do some nasty stuff, and it's like this isn't the first time you've been accused or being sued for sexual assault. You feel me? So it's like us hearing this as from a perspective of a black man observing how people already view our black culture. Like, they already look at black men as sexual aggressive beings. You feel me? And it's like now you playing into that. Granted, they may have been saying that happened when he was younger, things all that nature. Maybe, we don't know. But
still doesn't justify it.
Yeah, it doesn't justify it. But what I'm trying to say is, like, at this point, you're nasty and you know better. Like, that shit is weird, bro. Like, this shit is fucking weird. Straight up.
So, like, with this coming to light, how far do you think this how far do you think this track goes back in terms of accusations that you think are gonna start popping up now that he's probably gonna go on trial for this?
It's gonna be a lot. Like, I would not be surprised. Like, like 10 years ago, like 10, probably 15 years ago, within that time frame throughout his whole career, because you never know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what he was doing. Like, even when he became famous and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even, like, I think what it was, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, one of them joints where he was like, oh, yeah, all these women are trying to come out because they're trying to get a bag, and it's like, bro, like at this point, this is like the 8th girl,
Yeah.
and we watch you at this point. Like next, you know, he gonna be like R. Kelly said, that's not me, bro. Like
Someone, I remember a woman made an
weird.
accusation about him like locking her in a room, wouldn't let her leave or
Keke
whatever.
Palmer.
Yeah. Oh, it was Keke Palmer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then someone even like on No Jumper said something about that too. It was crazy. But why does it take for like a video to surface like this for people to believe that these types of things are actually happening when multiple people have already came out and said stuff like this, but nobody's listening, and now everybody's supposed to be, oh, he's this type of bad guy, da da da. But nah, people have been saying this for years.
I think it goes into a very bad stereotype and narrative that we have.
Yeah.
It's if like, I'm not trying to compare like this, but if a man sleeps with a woman, it's gonna. Wow, my mind just went blank.
So if a man sleeps with a woman, what?
Okay, sorry. So it's like this. It's this bad notion that we have in society with women and men when they sleep with people, sleep with one another, right? It's like you automatically think the woman is lying if she says she's sexually abused because you don't know this, that, and the third. We may not understand. We don't want to do all that stuff. This, that, and the third, right? Like when a woman comes out and does that, and it sucks because it's like stuff like this makes it hard for women to come out because people are not gonna believe you. Like the common narrative is always the woman. We don't know what happened because the woman may want to try to lie. You know what I'm saying? And in most cases, these women don't lie. Statistics show that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like it's disappointing to see that we have to do that all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like we have to do better of changing narratives in society because it's been messing everybody up. You know what I'm saying?
It has been messing a lot of people up, and I do agree that people, one, don't get the justice just due up front when it comes to things like that. Because we've even said on the pod, like, I mean, obviously, like, everybody has to be innocent until you're proven guilty. But like when you hear things happening over and over again, it's like, dang, like, is someone gonna look into this? Like, are you gonna start taking people up on their word or things of that nature? It's like, but I don't know. Like, what does it take if you don't have like physical evidence, like a video that just surfaced? How, like, do you think they have reason to or should dig into more stuff if people are coming up like that?
If you don't have video evidence, 10 times out of 10 with somebody in that power, you're automatically at the whim of what they want to do. Like,
what do you mean, like from law perspective? I don't know. You're in that, like, I don't know.
Oh no, I mean it's not like specifically a law thing. I'm just looking at this society wise. It's like if you don't have video evidence in this day and age, a celebrity can deny the whole thing and pay you off or find other people to pay you off, do all this different stuff. It's not going to come out. You know what I'm saying? And even if it doesn't, like, people are not going to believe you because it's like they're the person in power. They control that stuff. You know what I mean? It's tragic. It's a tragic thing for people involved that people can just control the narrative like that. Because it's just like at that point, women at the end of the day don't get their due justice, especially if you know people are telling the truth. And it's like that's why you really need that video evidence, unfortunately, in this day and age, because it's like nowadays we're really moving towards this space, or at least it's showing out in public that we're moving into this space where it's like people need to see the stuff, especially with celebrities. So yeah,
they do need to see this stuff because, like, when you have, all right, there's another instance. So the former Superfly actor Kalen Walker, he played a major role in that movie.
Yeah.
In the same like breath, in the same week, was just accused of raping 6 victims, and 3 of them were 16-year-olds that were minors, that were aspiring actresses and things of that nature. So it's like when you see stuff like that happening in Hollywood, like what do you do? Like how do you protect people that are coming up in that space, especially if they're young, if they're women, things of that nature, and protecting the people that are maybe like grooming these people or preying on these people that are coming up in the space?
Well, to an extent, all Hollywood has that grooming aspect, whether we want to accept it or not. There is a big, giant grooming process in Hollywood to be acclimated to the culture of Hollywood. And yeah, it's nasty that you're doing stuff like that. And it's like, we can't really, the only way that we could change this whole situation is like, you have to bring your parents, bro. Bring people that you trust, because it's like a lot of times, a lot of these things end up happening because these people are alone. These kids are alone. These younger people are alone. And it's like, it's easy for people to get manipulated if you're by yourself. You know what I mean? And it's like, you look at a lot of different situations where it's like, these people are this age and it's nasty. It's like, you in most cases and stuff that happens with people who don't have their parents around when they're by themselves, when they grow up in harsh environments, something happens to them, you know what I mean? And it's like it f's with them. So it's like it's the same thing here. Like just because you're famous and you get a lot of money don't mean shit not happening to your daughter or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's what people got to look at, you know.
No, you do, and it's like because you see it across landscapes, not just like Hollywood and the music industry. We talked about last season how the United States gymnastics team with Larry Nassar and things of that nature. And I'm sure it happens in a wide array of places that we don't even know exist right now. But when it comes to that and having people that are in positions, how do like organizations or people or places vet these individuals before they put them in positions where they're dealing with like younger individuals?
So it's, for me, I'm not an expert on this, so I wouldn't be able to speak, but I will say, off my opinion, that a lot of these times these people will not come off as these predators. You know what I mean? And it's like a lot of this stuff, like a lot of times when people talk about sex or rape and stuff like that, it's really less about the sex and more about the power. You know what I mean? And it's like for him and for people like Kalon Walker or whatever his name is, like it's about power. You want that power, and it's like it's very difficult to gauge that, from my opinion, especially because you don't know if they come in like this and they change or something happens to them when you're not there, you know? So
yeah, because he's facing. They said 100 years to life in prison, and they said it was over 30 women stepped up to claim assault charges against him. So it's like it's that's why I asked about the thing with Trey Songs, because if you have that many women saying something happened, like you have to start looking under the rug.
Oh yeah, definitely. But depending on who it is, they're not gonna look under the rug.
I just don't think that's right. You feel me?
It's not. Like, that's the reality, but it's like they're not going to check the rug. Oh, my gosh, you need to understand. Like, they may look into it a little bit. They may do the formal thing and everything like that, but once they have the money and the money's involved of, like, influence, all this stuff, it's very difficult to get.
I get that it's difficult, but, like, when you see something like the R. Kelly situation that happened, and they made a whole doc about all this stuff's going on, and then you see cases like this, like, shouldn't that one red flag be enough for you to be like, all right, we don't want this shit to happen again, so we're gonna go in and make sure like everything is everything?
Oh,
I mean, saying cross our T's and dot our I's.
If you put it like that, yeah, of course. But like the reality of it is that people are not always thinking about stuff like that. When when bad stuff like this happens, everybody looks at it as a one-off case. R. Kelly to everybody is still a one-off case. You know what I mean? With Harvey
I don't get
Weinstein.
how that could be a one-off case.
But I'm saying it. Think about it like this: when you're thinking about stuff, right? It's like, okay, that just happened to R. Kelly. R. Kelly to us seems like he doesn't have problems, but we're not thinking about Trey Songs. You know what I mean? And it's like you're like, oh my gosh, like maybe it's not an issue. Like he's fine. Like R. Kelly's the real person, or it's just always this kind of one-off thing. Like, okay, that was okay. My new normal is knowing that majority of these celebrities are not like that. You know. And I think that's the situation as to why people don't go out of their way to want to do that stuff, because it's like people think of R. Kelly when they think of this stuff. People don't think of Harvey Weinstein. You know what I mean? Because it's like nobody has a Harvey Weinstein movie yet, you know? But
why do people like pick and choose when it comes to scenarios that you want to take a look at and stuff? Like when you have like, all right, I was going to use the Chris Brown example, but the Chris Brown example, they had physical evidence of that happening. You feel me? So I'm not going to bring that up. But still, like, do you think that people are turning a blind eye to Trey Songz not because of Trey Songz for the money, but Trey Songz, the R&B singer? Like,
yeah, they're attached to who he is. I said this 2-3 seasons ago. Nobody is going to cancel their favorite artist, their favorite actor, their favorite TV show. Nobody is going to cancel any of that stuff as long as you still have an emotional attachment to what that thing did for you. Nobody has canceled Nicki Minaj yet, and Nicki Minaj came out and lied about COVID in your faces and sat here and used her brother as an excuse, or used that as an excuse to cover up what she was doing with her husband or what her husband was doing. And nobody has canceled her. We all love Nicki Minaj again. It's the same thing here. It's like nobody's going to cancel nobody as long as you have an emotional attachment to somebody. You know what I mean? It's like nobody's going to cancel Michael Jackson. Like, it was very hard to cancel Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
It was very hard to cancel R. Kelly. Why? Because people are resonating with their music. You know what I'm saying? That's not their normal anymore. And that's what I'm saying. It's like if you have an emotional attachment to whatever, Nicki Minaj, Drake, all that stuff, nobody's going to cancel that because they care about that stuff. Like, it's a part of their happiness. It's like, we should have been canceled Drake. Drake had blackface.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he's still here. He's still here today.
Yeah.
6ix9ine snitched and he's still here today.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to understand, people are not canceling somebody as long as that emotional attachment to whatever said thing is there, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. Yeah, you're right. I got nothing else to say about that. You're just right. But it's just crazy. I just think like when you see enough things happening over the course of time, it should just alerts you automatically to, all right, let's do this.
It should. But like I said, once again, if everybody and their grandma had to cancel Nicki Minaj, or were supposed to cancel Nicki Minaj, but they understood they can't listen to Itty Bitty Piggy no more, they gonna choose Itty Bitty Piggy. Everybody's okay with Nicki Minaj
Wait,
until she plays.
so why has all right? So the Nicki Minaj situation, all right? You've been harping on this for a while now. Not just today, but like in the past like season stuff like that. Like why hasn't it really been brought up like that or discussed the way you think it should be discussed?
Because it's Nicki Minaj's husband.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Kenneth Petty, the guy who sexually abused a woman. It's Nicki Minaj's husband.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that we attach people to certain things, you can already tell how they're gonna get off in a certain way. Nicki Minaj, granted, the lady dropped the charge, but Nicki Minaj and her husband were pressing her on the low to drop the case.
Mm-hmm.
But she dropped the charges. I don't know why, whatever happened, but she dropped the charges.
Yeah.
Cool. My whole thing is that like when it comes to people who are in positions of power, like you're always gonna get attached to something, whether it's good or bad. And that said name always gets you out of trouble or puts you in a situation that you don't need to be in. Like right now, ASAP Rocky. When you look at articles, what do the articles say? Who did it?
In terms of what?
Like who went to jail?
Oh, Rihanna's boyfriend.
Rihanna's boyfriend, ASAP Rocky, known as Rakim Mayers, or ASAP Rocky, known as Rihanna's boyfriend or father of upcoming child. Like it's always been attached to somebody who's in power and attaches it to whether it's good or bad, and that's just the reality of it, and that's how people get off. It like it's not fair, but it's yeah.
How do you feel about people starting like false narratives like on social media, like with the Rihanna thing? How they tried to say like ASAP.
Oh yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, like somebody just randomly. It was wasn't one of her workers or something like that.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Like, what do you think about that? Like that sense of the culture, people want to just report stuff for fame, attention.
Well, I could
whether
tell
it's,
you
whether it's true, whether it's not.
Well, I can tell you this: somebody got to be snitching on ASAP. Someone got to be doing the witch doctor shit because this shit is nuts. Two crazy allegations like that, two things like that in a week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nah. That's wildin'. Like,
yeah.
But on a serious note, it's like when you're thinking about the situation, go back to the false narratives. It's like that part of the internet is they're trolls and they don't have anything better to do themselves, or they're getting paid because some people do get paid to start narratives. You know what I mean? Smear campaigns, stuff like that.
True.
But it's like that type of internet is really kind of annoying, bro. Because it's like you could damage somebody's life like that.
You definitely could.
You could damage. You can damage somebody's life. You can damage whoever's life just by doing whatever. Like you could pay for bots. You can pay for all this stuff to create a narrative. Say, for example, God forbid, Toby did this and this to this person. You know what I mean? And you could send enough of those complaints to a job or whatever for them to lose their job. You know what I mean? And it's like, you gotta be careful with stuff like that because it's like at this point, it's just like not even about anything else besides you just getting your little rush or your little excitement. You know what I mean? And it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
If you Rihanna, what are you doing to the employee?
Are
you terminated them like expeditiously, as T.I. would say?
Yeah.
Like it's all over for him. No hope. No this is
your
first time.
They're gonna leave they damn selves.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
I saw this, and I want this might be a deep one. You have to think a little bit. All right. Does life imitate art, or does art imitate life?
I think that art imitates life essentially because it's like, it's one of those things where a lot of this stuff that we do have today, you wouldn't have if you didn't experience life, or you didn't experience something, or you weren't observant of something. You know what I mean? Because it's like, take the Simpsons for example. And the Simpsons predicting everything. You know what I mean? It's like the Simpsons have been around long enough, and probably have enough people in their writing rooms to kind of understand. Okay, this shit would make 100% sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like this shit works because it shows this type of situation. You know what I mean? So I think that life. I think that art always imitates life. Always, because it's always going to be a reflection of what somebody sees in their life through their lens.
But in that same sentence though, like if art imitates life, right? To one person, so that artist puts it on the canvas, right?
Yeah.
Then if someone else sees it, can't someone else's life be like a reflection of what they see on whatever art piece is there or whatever it is?
Yeah, but
whether it be music, like things of that nature. Like if say a kid listening to Kendrick or a kid is watching AI play, that's essentially art, and then their life is a reflection of trying to be what they see.
But it's more so a reflection of what they're what their life experiences are resonating with the song. Like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, there's a song that comes in, someone comes in. So, prime example, Kendrick drops "All Right."
Yeah.
Right. Someone comes and listens to "All Right" and says, "Oh my gosh, this is powerful. This X, Y, and Z," and it's like, oh my gosh, what it's resonating to you is the point in your life of how you were feeling about something. You know what I mean?
I agree with that to a sense, but like not 100%, because like you have like young MCs that are not in the stature that like of a Jay-Z is, but they or like of a Wayne was, but they always say like I would listen to such and such's bars, and it would motivate me to get to that place because I wanted to rock that chain like him, or I wanted to have that car like him, or have the baddest joint next to me. You feel me? Like, so that's what I mean by that. I mean, not everything is reflections to the point where you're at, maybe where you're trying to go though. That's why I said maybe life is a reflection of the art that they see in front of them and where they have aspirations to be.
But then if it's somewhere where you aspire to be at one point, what you're looking at is obtainable and you saw it in somebody else, which is somebody else's life experience.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
It's like,
it can be, I think we both can be right in the same sense, because it just depends on the way you're looking at it in this sense. But I had that question. I saw that and I thought it was interesting to think about. So let's jump into our last topic, which is the NBA playoffs. I know you was discussing Jokic and Embiid, who should be MVP, who should not be MVP. So over this past weekend, and by the time this airs, like some other games will obviously be played. Embiid hit a game winner in Game 3 against Toronto in Toronto.
Poetic.
Super poetic based on how they ended when Kawhi and then went on the championship run.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people in our area, especially, are saying Embiid should be the MVP. And people that I know from Colorado and stuff obviously the Joker should be MVP. What are your thoughts on that?
Jokic MVP for what?
He be hooping though.
He hoops, but he doesn't. My thing with Jokic is that I don't think Jokic affects winning the way people think that he affects winning.
Okay.
Like, it's just like, it's almost like he's kind of just there.
Yeah. No, I think he makes an impact on the game, though. I think he makes an impact on the game. I just think that he's not as dominant as people make him seem out to be. Like just this series alone that they're playing right now against the Warriors and stuff like that.
He doesn't affect, like,
yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, he doesn't affect winning. Like, you don't have to make, like, I'm not saying Jokic isn't good, but you don't have to make a game plan around Jokic.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I feel like you don't have to make a game plan around Jokic because he plays soft. He plays like AD. Like, he plays cotton. Like,
do you think he's just a stat filler? Like, he has good stats, but he doesn't really impact the game the way people.
Yes, he's one of them analytic dudes. Like, that's what made James Harden so nice. That's what made James Harden's team so beatable at the same time. It's all analytics. As I say, you don't have
hard to be hooping though.
No, he do be hooping, but in Houston, it was always analytics. Like, this is the percentage shot that makes sense.
Yeah.
The idea now is that, like, because you using so much data, you can influence data to give you what you want. You know what I'm saying? And with Jokic, when people talk about Jokic, it's like, oh my gosh, he's so good. He affects the game. Look at his stats. Look at his advanced metrics. This, that, and the third. It's like, you can plan for that.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you can't plan for someone being dominant. You know what I mean? Like, people have to plan for Embiid.
Yeah, Embiid be hooping.
Like,
I bet against the big man. I shouldn't have bet against the big man.
Shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have bet against the big man. That's what. Shout out to.
We know who's going home. We know who's going home.
Facts. Let me ask you this though. All right,
he's going home.
So at this point in time, KD and Kyrie are down 0-2.
Yep.
If they lose this series, or say they get swept, we don't know what's gonna happen. But say they get swept, what does that do to their legacy?
It's been the same. They can't win a chip together.
They can't win. Yeah, you're right.
They can't win a chip by themselves. They can't. Like, they're too similar in how they play in terms of they want to play for ISO. Like, you can plan around that. You get what I'm saying? The only thing you can't really plan around is Kyrie's, like, ways to get separation from his defender. That's it. You know what I'm saying? KD just naturally is a long dude, so he naturally has separation when he shoots. But it's like they play very similarly. It's a very ISO I still
and
put
at the
such
end
a
of the day,
game.
they can get theirs, but at the end of the day, they're not winning games.
Yeah,
Like they
they're
should
not.
be.
Like it's like it comes off as like everything. It's kind of like when LeBron plays. Everything's a cog. You know what I mean?
What you mean by a cog?
Like a cog, like a machine.
I know what you mean, but
But
I'm
it's
saying
like
like
when. So let's go back to prime Bron, right? When Bron had 2018, you had when you playing around Bron. When Bron is driving to the net, he's being dominant. People are cracking down. It's a simple. He drives kick out three. Giannis does the shit now. You know what I mean? And it's like what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say about it is just like, yo, you gotta understand that. That's what you have to do to be dominant, and that's to me. You have to make a plan around somebody to be dominant. That's just what I gotta say on that one. But.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I heard you say it'll be interesting to see what KD and Kyrie do. I don't know. I think like that talk. I mean, everybody always says how close KD is to LeBron in terms of being like the greatest in the world, things of that nature. But it's like I think if you can't get over the hump in the East or get out the first round in the East with the team that you have, and they have a pretty good squad. I mean, I feel like it does a little something to the legacy and the separation between him and Bron.
There's never been a close comparison to them.
KD, I disagree. I disagree with that.
Why?
I feel like that year when KD was at Golden State, he was really he was up there.
No.
What you mean no?
He felt like the best he felt like the best player because he fit into a system that can move with or without him. But he got his dominance because you're playing with the top of the top. You know what I mean? Like you arguably had two of the greatest shooters on your side.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like for him, it seemed close because they kept winning and they felt dominant. But in terms of individual legacy, no, they're not going to be because KD went to a system that was already moving without him. Yeah. LeBron built a system around him and they won. That's why I said the thing with the cog. It's like when you plan for that and someone is moving the way they need to, everything else kind of clicks. Mm-hmm. With KD is not that dude where you plug him in and everything works around him. He works around everyone else.
Yeah. And yeah, that move, I think that move obviously hurts his legacy. But I get what you're saying when you're talking about he felt like the greatest because he was on the top team, but he joined somebody that's already winning in a sense.
Yeah.
But I just felt like his gameplay, the level of his gameplay and what he was doing, and just the level he was playing at that point in time in his career had him close in terms of, all right, he may be the best basketball player in the world. But, I mean, I get what you're saying in terms of legacy. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like he just that's been my thing about KD. KD has never dragged anybody to the playoffs. He's never dragged anybody to the finals by himself.
True.
Bron brought scrubs to the finals plenty of times. Like niggas can't say nothing to him. You know what I mean? And KD has yet to do it.
Yeah.
The only reason why he got to a chip was because he played with
Stephen Clay.
Yeah. Draymond, come on. Like that's at that point in their prime, that's a cheat code, bro. Like,
no, you're right. And let me ask you this before we close out. Have you been watching the Memphis and Timberwolves series at all?
Yo, rest in peace to your moms, bro. But Karl Anthony Towns, I know you was getting baked in the Douglas Rec Center, bro. I know you was. I know you when you was visiting Rutgers, when your mom was alive. Rest in peace to her. I know when you was visiting Rutgers, you was getting dunked on, bro.
Yo. There was cookie Eve.
It had to be. He didn't even go to the athletic center. Rutgers. He didn't go to the Rutgers basketball courts where the people play. You went to Douglas Rec Center.
They showed the clip of Karl Anthony Towns during the game. They was like, yeah, I told them they ain't come to Minnesota yet. They didn't come to Minnesota. They was up like 25 twice.
Yep.
John then came back once. He said, I told them they got to Minnesota. What they do, John and them took off on them.
I would have done the same thing. That's what they get, bro. What? You talking to me like that? I'm John Morant. I'm the face of the league.
Pat Bev was talking heavy, too.
I hate Patrick Beverly.
Why?
I don't understand how he still has a job.
Bro, he's consistent in what he does.
He should be here podcasting with us.
Nah, Pat Bev is good in the role that he plays, bro.
But my thing, Pat Bev be tricking y'all, man. That nigga don't be doing no defense, son.
You don't think he be playing defense? He just be hacking?
No, he just be hacking people, bro.
You don't think he's a good defender?
No.
Pat Beverly's not a good defender?
No.
Like, he's not a top 5 defender?
No.
At all?
No.
So why does he keep getting signed, you think?
Because he's a pest. That's why. The nigga's a vermin.
A what?
A vermin, nigga.
What is a vermin?
Same thing, a pest, a vermin.
Yo, this man said a vermin. That's crazy. I never heard that term in my life. He said a vermin. Yes. I'm about to look that up. What is a vermin? Is it bigger than is it the same thing as a pest?
Yeah.
This man.
Pat Bev gonna see that and be like, nah, bro, Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3.
But Zion's coming back. Do you think he's gonna do anything? No,
not yet.
No, at all.
He gotta lose weight, bro.
All right, so if Zion doesn't do good this next year, is he considered a bust?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think so. Because it's not even we don't even have enough of a sample size for us to really see what's going on. And I think that Zion wants to play, but he don't want to play for the Pelicans.
Why do you think that?
Because I think that Zion is big enough. Zion is a big enough star where he needs to go to a bigger market in order for him to shine.
You don't think so? You think he wants to just be in a bigger city, things of that nature?
Yeah.
He could do what Ja's doing in Memphis. Memphis isn't a big market, but Ja made it marketable.
Yeah, but that's the same thing that Russell Westbrook did, and it granted you put them on the map, but it's Zion naturally already has star power.
Yeah.
He has a star power. So why not? Why would you put yourself in a situation where you're in a smaller market? You want to be in New York. You want to be in Brooklyn. You want to be in LA, Sacramento, whatever, because those are.
Do you think since Memphis is popping in the rap scene right now, do you think that elevates Ja's brand as well too?
Yeah, it will.
You think that helps?
It will. Watch Key Glock. Key Glock gonna be with him soon.
You think so?
Definitely.
Because he be rapping Pusha T.
Oh, I don't know who he be repping, but
no, I'm saying they be, you know what I'm saying, he be shouting them out and stuff like that on Instagram and stuff like that. But
it's
cool.
Definitely that's what I'm saying. That's part of the reason. There's a branding thing, But yeah, it's cool though.
No, definitely. But that's all I got for this episode. You got anything else?
No.
That's all I got for episode 85 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Bill.
It's your boy Moose.